the last episode, we talked about Henry IV's problems now that he's King of England. In this episode, we're going to talk about Hotspur. Let me first, we went shopping. It's in the afternoon. I need to get this thing done. Let me finish my cafe. Now, what does Hotspur mean? Well, a spur is what riders use to spur on a horse, right? To get a horse moving. So in that sense, spur means to goad or incite or be of great courage. Now what about hot? Hot means full of heat, charged with energy, excitable, full of violence and intensity. I mean, Hotspur is a fiery, easily excitable, spurred on by passion, always rash. Listen, for example, to his reaction when Henry IV wants those prisoners.
My liege, that means the lord I owe homage to. My liege, I did deny no prisoners, but I remember when the fight was done, when I was dry as thirsty with rage and extreme toil, breathless and faint, leaning upon my sword, came there a certain lord, neat and trimly dressed, fresh as a bridegroom, and his chin new reaped like his beard has been newly trimmed.
With many holiday and lady terms, right? In other words, fancy, effeminate language, he questioned me, amongst the rest demanded my prisoners in your majesty's behalf. I then, all smarting with my wounds, being cold, to be so pestered with the popinjay of a vain parrot, out of my grief and my impatience, answered neglectedly, I know not what he should or he should not, for he made me mad to see him shine so brisk and smell so sweet and talk so like a waiting gentlewoman, like a servant to a great lady. We saw a little bit of that personality, as I said, in Richard II, but it's full bore in Henry IV Part 1. But notice also that that personality, that fire, that sense of action is the exact opposite of Henry IV's own son, to the point where Henry even confesses or admits to being a little envious of Northumberland for having such a great son.
And is not this an honorable spoil, a gallant prize, huh, cousin, is it not? Westmoreland, in faith, it is a conquest for a prince to boast of. King Henry, yeah. There thou makest me sad, and makest me sin in envy that my lord Northumberland should be the father to so blessed a son who is the theme of honor's tongue, amongst a grove the very straightest plant, who is sweet fortune's minion. Beware, remember Richard II, if you're fortune's favorite, you may fall. And her pride, whilst I, by looking on the praise of him, see riot and disorder, and him see riot and dishonor stain the brow of my young Harry. Oh, that it could be proved that some night-tripping fairy had exchanged in cradle clothes our children where they lay, and called mine Percy his Plantagenet. Then would I have his Harry and he mine. But let him from my thoughts.
Now, in regards to the prisoners, Hotspur is pissed. He will not give Henry his prisoners unless his brother-in-law Mortimer is also ransomed. The problem is that Henry has changed. He's no longer the reluctant usurper. Now, Henry IV, as king, has a certain self-regard, as if he's now a sacred king. And this is something he picks up from Richard's own conceptions of kingship, remember? The problem is that conception that was originally Richard's, that notion of being divinely ordained, runs up against other views of his legitimacy.
Hotspur, why look you, I am whipped and scourged with rods. That's hyperbole about, like, he's like Jesus. Nettled and stung with pismeres when I hear of this vile politician, Bolingbroke. So notice politician here. He's not a king. It's a negative term. In Richard's time, what do you call the place? A plague upon it. It is in Gloucestershire. 'Twas where the madcap Duke his uncle kept, his uncle York, where I first bowed my knee unto this king of smiles, this Bolingbroke. And notice, a plague upon it. We're living in the plague. If you curse something, you say a plague upon it, a coronavirus upon it.
The king of smiles. Like, what a great insult. It's as if the more Henry smiles, the more angry his co-conspirators get.
But shall it be that you that set the crown upon the head of this forgetful man, and for his sake wear the detested blot of murderous subordination, wherein you range under this subtle king, shall it for shame be spoken in these days, or fill up chronicles in time to come? Think of the histories, the sources that become this play. That men of your nobility and power did gauge them both in an unjust behalf. Gauging is pledging, but remember also the throwing down of the gauges for their sake of honor. As both of you, God pardon it, have done, to put down Richard, that sweet lovely rose, and plant this thorn, this canker, Bolingbroke? And shall it in more shame be further spoken that you are fooled, discarded, and shook off by him for whom these shames he underwent?
All this raises an important question. Can you be a traitor to a traitor? Can you be a rebel to a rebel? To a smiling, forgetful, subtle king? I mean, think about this. With the breakdown of a legitimate, sacred ruler, Richard II, everything is now driven by complaint, right? Bolingbroke appears on the English shores complaining about his status after his father, Gloucester, is dead. The Commons have complaints about the flatterers that surround Richard. And the result is his legal deposition in Parliament. And then, of course, we have Northumberland and Worcester complaining about Henry's rule. It's as if everything now is on the table, and it reveals truly Richard's observation, I was going to say, but insight that the crown is hollow. It can fit anyone's head. It can be set onto the forgetful man. And so they have to make new alliances to overthrow him. In this case, with the help of Glendower and his prisoner / son-in-law Mortimer, as well as Douglas. The Scottish Earl Percy Hotspur defeated and is keeping his son as a prisoner. Now, the thing about sequels is that there has to be a certain similarity of scenes, right? From one film to another. One of them is Richard's notion of the kingdom as a natural world at his beck and call, shows up, but this time it's ridiculed. It's a funny scene. I love the scene. It's Hotspur debating the wild Welshman Glendower over his fantasies of natural power.
Glendower, I can call spirits from the vasty deep. Hotspur, why so can I, or so can any man. But will they come when you do call for them? Glendower, why I can teach you, cousin, to command the devil. Hotspur, and I can teach thee, cuz, to shame the devil by telling the truth. Tell truth and shame the devil.
Who's the devil? Well, in Henry IV, Part 2, it's Falstaff, and that play is filled with medieval allegories from the morality and mystery plays. But that scene with Glendower is one funny moment in a play with many funny moments. That scene leads to love. And remember, with Shakespeare, we're always getting mixed genres. So in this history of England, we get two love scenes associated with Hotspur and with his wife, Kate. The first one is with Glendower, his daughter, or now Mortimer's new wife, and Mortimer.
Mortimer. Good father, tell her that she and my Aunt Percy shall follow in your conduct speedily. Glendower speaks to her in Welsh, and she answers him in the same. Glendower, she is desperate here. A peevish, self-willed harlotry. She's a strong-willed woman. One that no persuasion, no rhetoric can do good upon. The lady speaks in Welsh. I understand thy looks, says Mortimer. That pretty Welsh, in other words, her tears, which is wash, it's as a pun, is like the word Welsh. I understand thy looks, that pretty Welsh, which thou pourest down from these swelling heavens, I am too perfect in. And but for shame, in such a parley, such language, such meeting, should I answer thee. In other words, he'll cry too. The lady again in Welsh. I understand thy kisses and thou mine, and that's a feeling deputation.
Number 15. It's very reminiscent, if you remember, from our first day in class. Henry V woos a French princess.
King, then I will kiss your lips, Kate. Catherine, les dames et demoiselles pourraient être baisées devant leurs noces. Il n'est pas la coutume de France. King, Madame, my interpreter, what says she? Alice, that it is not be the fashion pour les ladies of France. I cannot tell what is baiser en English. King, to kiss.
When Mortimer's wife speaks in Welsh or sings in Welsh, notice the stage directions. They only say, the lady sings a Welsh song, or the lady speaks Welsh. That means that the stage directions do not supply the words. Every production of Henry IV Part 1 has to find someone to supply the directors or the producers or the actors with Welsh dialogue. In that sense, it then opens up the play to improvisation. In that scene, as Mortimer's wife sings a Welsh song, Percy asks his own wife, Kate, to sing as well.
Hotspur, peace, she sings. Here the lady sings a Welsh song. Hotspur, come, Kate. I'll have your song too. Lady Percy, not mine in good sooth.
And in that way, we also get to see Kate's personality. And they share a fantastic scene together. She knows that something is going on.
Lady Percy, come, you parakeeto, answer me directly into this question that I ask. In faith, I'll break thy little finger, Harry, and if thou wilt not tell me all things true. Hotspur, away, you trifler. Love? I love thee not. I care not for thee, Kate. This is no world to play with mammoths and to tilt with lips. We must have bloody noses and cracked crowns, and pass them current too, God's me, my horse! What sayest thou, Kate? What wouldst thou have with me? Do you not love me? Do you not indeed? Well, do not then, for since you love me not, I will not love myself. Do you not love me? Nay, tell me if you speak in jest or no. That questioning of do you speak in jest or no, that's because Hotspur's funny.
You parakeeto. What does that mean? Is he vain like a parakeet? Is he getting himself into a situation that he, because he talks and talks and talks, will end badly? Hotspur ultimately, we know, will die because he cannot win this battle at all. Now, for the next episode, let's talk about his twin snatched at birth, Hal.
Alright guys, don't forget to like and subscribe and ring that notification bell.